the nation from the biggest digitization drive aimed at formalizing the Ghanaian economy. It is that ticket of incorruptibility and discipline. It is not surprising that when the NPP opened nomination for a presidential slot, nobody in the party attempted to pick the forms. Ghana, and indeed we in the New Patriotic Party in particular, couldn't have been blessed with a better leader than His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. A leader whose vision knows no barriers. A leader who believes in community than self. A leader who puts the national interest ahead of his personal interests and the interests of his political party. A leader who works at satisfying the needs of currents whilst upholding and protecting the interests of the next generation. More instructively, council members, we are talking about a leader who shows leadership when it mattered most. I am sure the whole nation will recall that in the period of global health crisis occasioned by the COVID-19 outbreak, which has shattered many economies and destroyed many families, everybody had clamored for leadership. Many presidents have given up the fight against the pandemic. Many governments have absolutely no clue on how to strike a reasonable balance between fighting the pandemic and also protecting the life and livelihood of our people. Then came the President of the Republic of Ghana and the leader of the New Patriotic Party, who rose to the occasion, carried the world along, and showed the way through which his award-winning inspirational words and deeds that got the world talking. Almost every world leader hailed President Akufo-Addo for the leadership he has shown in this period of global health crisis. We certainly have every reason to be proud of the visionary leader God has blessed us with. All this has been done in just 3 years, 3.5 years. You can imagine if His Excellency Nana Addo had immediately followed from His Excellency J. Kufuor, the transformation, the foundation that was laid, we wouldn't have been here talking about just training colleges allowances, talking about school feeding program. It is instructive to note, and I think that it is important for our friends from the opposing side to recognize that saying that we are social democrats must not be in slogans. It must be in deeds and action. It is almost 3.5 years now when His Excellency the Vice President put out a question to the NDC that they should show one social intervention program. Only one.
Just one.
Just one.
One.
We can show. Although a center-right political party, all the social intervention programs that affect the lives of our people are programs that was introduced by the New Patriotic Party and its tradition. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, shall we all rise up to welcome His Excellency, the presidential candidate of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo.
seated. Thank you.
My dear friends and colleagues, these indeed are not normal times. Here we are at what should have been a crowded, happy, even riotous climax to our internal party elections that would take us to the general elections in December. Instead of the loud, jam-packed gatherings that we know, we've been reduced to the social distance correct roomful of 100 people. Thanks to technology, I know that we've been joined by hundreds of thousands of our members and supporters at home and abroad who are able to follow the events as they happen. First Lady, Vice President, Second Lady, President Kufuor, Mr. Chairman, General Secretary, Chairman of the Council of Elders, Majority Leader in Parliament, members of the National Council and officials of the New Patriotic Party. I must confess, this is a rare experience for me in my long political career. And I'm not talking of the acclamation by social distance. I refer to the fact that at any time I have run for any office, I've had to go through a long, often bruising battle. And this is only the second time that I have not been contested. Once at the parliamentary level, and this, the second, at the presidential. I'm glad to add this to my portfolio of political experiences. But most of all, I must express my heartfelt thanks to all members of our party across the length and breadth of the country and abroad, and to the party office holders who are responsible for the process that leads to the election of the presidential candidate for our party. Thank you for the belief and confidence you have shown in me. Thank you for your trust in me to lead our party to an unquestionable and resounding victory at the elections in December, just as we did 4 years ago in December 2016. I do not take your trust lightly. I come to this moment with great humility and with deep gratitude to Almighty God, who has bestowed this exceptional honor on my modest self. The leadership of the New Patriotic Party imposes a sacred trust. Our forefathers, right from the beginning of formal politics in this country, made an unspoken pact with the people to treat them with respect, and if given the opportunity to govern, to do so with honesty and dedication. At a moment like this, my mind goes to our leaders throughout the ages, and I feel strongly the weight of responsibility that comes from continuing to step in the shoes of George Parr Grant, Joseph Boachier Dankwa, Emmanuel Obechebe Lamte, Edward Akufo-Addo, Simon Diedon Dombo, Kofi Abrefa Busia, Victor Owusu, William Oforiatta, Albert Edubwahine, and others like Bafo Seyakoto, men who showed exemplary leadership in defining moments of Ghana's history. And of course, in every sense of the word, into the giant shoes of the second president of the Fourth Republic, His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor. whose outstanding tenure took Ghana to a whole new level. I have no choice but to use the inspiration that comes from invoking their names to lead our party and the people of Ghana with dedication. Today, there are some amongst us in this country who would take for granted the idea of a democratic Ghana and will make light of the rights and obligations that come with living in a democracy. If you are a leader of the NPP, if you are a member or supporter of the NPP, you would know that every inch of democratic space was fought for and sometimes died for in this country. Our fourth Republican Constitution is crafted on multi-party democracy. We did not get there by chance. It took a long and difficult battle. Today, some take it for granted. The multiplicity of media outlets and the freedom of the press, these did not become part of our governance landscape by happenstance. It took a long and difficult battle, waged largely by the political tradition to which we belong, to get our nation to where we are today. Friends and colleagues, I recall some of our battles not as a boast, but because it bears reminding all of us where we came from, and more importantly, to remind us in the NPP of the heavy responsibility we carry. We know what we stand for: the rule of law, freedom of speech and of the press, individual freedoms, the determination to liberate the energies of the people for the growth of a property-owning democracy, to build an economy that will create wealth for all our people and not just for the elite few. I need to remind everybody that ours has been the only political tradition in this country that has espoused the development of the country and of the individual as part of our foundational beliefs. Hence our motto, development in freedom. Whenever we've had the opportunity to govern, we've been guided by these long-held principles. That is who we are. We have been consistent. It is in our DNA, and we dare not and would not stray from them. In the 3.5 years that it has been my abiding privilege to lead this party in government, we have kept our eyes firmly on those beliefs. All our flagship programs are rooted in the effort to liberate the energies of the people, to grow an economy of which all the people can be part. In spite of the truly abysmal state in which we found the economy of Ghana in January 2017, we can be proud of what we have been able to achieve in the past 3.5 years. We're not there yet. We're not where we want Ghana to be, and we're very much aware of the amount of work that remains to be done. We have demonstrated, though, beyond any shadow of doubt, our competence in the management of the national economy, since without competence, we cannot improve on the welfare of the masses. We have also certainly changed the outlook on education in this country. Free SHS has brought relief to many homes, and secondary education is no longer the preserve of children whose parents have the means to pay their way. Free TVET means that young people can learn for free technical and vocational skills that set them up for life. The first cohort of the young people to have benefited from this brave and forward-looking policy graduates soon, and we only have to persist for a few more years and we would see Ghana change before our very eyes. We would have an educated workforce, we would have a better informed population, and would be better placed to compete in the world. We are investing in the future of Ghana, and it is to the benefit of every home in the country. We've been busy in the delivery of physical infrastructure as well, and I'm happy to report that just after 3.5 years in office, I can say without any fear of contradiction that every constituency in this country has seen the provision of some basic infrastructure to their communities. In other words, we have not limited the construction and building of infrastructure to the cities, but our towns and villages are seeing development as well, because we do not believe in leaving any community out of the development program of Ghana. The provision of water, toilets, warehouses to store agricultural produce are all helping to improve the look of the rural areas of our country. We have not stopped at water for all and toilet for all. We are pursuing infrastructure for all. Our approach is different. We owe it to Ghana to be different. The huge investments we're making in agriculture mean Ghana will soon be a self-sufficient nation in food production. The need to be self-sufficient has been demonstrated dramatically in this most trying year for the whole world. The arrival of the novel coronavirus has taught all of us that we have to be self-reliant, which has been my mantra since I took office in advocating the objective of a Ghana beyond aid. The pandemic has emphasized the fact that living on edge, living on a day-to-day economy is too precarious, and we all must have some buffer of protection in all aspects of our lives. The pandemic has also brought out some of the best in the Ghanaian, and I have been touched by the sense of community that many people have displayed in looking out for each other. Unfortunately, the pandemic has also exposed some very unpleasant aspects of our lives. Some of these difficulties, like the lack of adequate health infrastructure, the government is determined to do something about it as quickly as possible. We are embarking on a vigorous hospital building project aimed at making sure all parts of the country are adequately provided. The pandemic has also showed all of us the important role of good leadership in the management of the affairs of human beings. There are no hiding places when a pandemic is abroad. I thank the Almighty that I've had a hard-working team to support me as we have grappled with the management of the virus in our country since March. We did not plan for this unthinkable crisis, but we did prepare our economy well for tougher times, and we can build it stronger for you, the Ghanaian people, when this is all over. My dear friends and colleagues, this past weekend, our party came to the end of the processes that we have to go through to prepare for the elections in December, with the primaries in constituencies where we have sitting MPs. Unfortunately, in our enthusiasm and sheer unbridled joy, we broke some of the COVID-19 safety protocols. It should not happen again. I congratulate all those who came out. There were losers. Many of these people are important personalities in our party and are playing critical roles in Parliament, as are all the others. But those of us in politics know that these things happen. We know that, to use the famous words of our one-time General Secretary, we have to continue to fear delegates. But we will remain firm in our belief that losing one election cannot and does not mean the end of your political life. I am a living example. I urge all of us to get over our disappointments quickly and unite to go before the country. This was the message I gave to the 42 members of Parliament who lost when I invited them to meet with me at Jubilee House on Thursday evening. I believe that the message went down well, especially if we recollect the impressive words several of them uttered after their defeat. We have a good story to tell, and we should go out to tell it. On every sector of our lives, we should show the difference between the NPP way of tackling problems and the way our opponents do it. We grow the economy. They shrink the economy. We create the properly regulated, enabling atmosphere for businesses to flourish. They allow chancers and speculators to lure citizens into putting their monies into dodgy enterprises. They bring our banks and financial services to near collapse, and we have to clean up, shore up, and restore confidence. They plunge us into doomsday. We keep the lights on. They look on clueless as hundreds of thousands of Ghana's children exit school at JHS. We bring free SHS and free TVET to prepare our children better to face life. They resort to crude language when faced with difficult arguments. We raise the level of public discourse. We owe it to ourselves and to Ghana to win the elections in December decisively, to make sure that we keep the economy on track and not in the hands of people who will run it again into the ground. Demagogic pronouncements about your so-called, in quotes, love of the masses do not put food on the table. Do not send the child to school. Do not guarantee access to good health care. Do not assure the pensioner the value of his pension. We do not believe in pitting the rich against the poor, or the poor against the rich. We believe in helping every Ghanaian to climb up the ladder of progress, and we have been consistent in this, not just in words, but in deeds. We are told that those who are responsible for the worst economic performance of the last 30 years have learned their mistakes and seek another opportunity to correct their mistakes, that they have learned their lessons, apologize, and seek another opportunity to correct their mistakes. Dare I ask, should the presidency be for experiments? Surely not. You, the Ghanaian people, deserve better. And you will get better on 7th December with 4 more years for Nana and the NPP to do more for you. We have to win the election to see our many projects through to conclusion. We dare not leave the many factories coming up under our 1D1F scheme to be truncated. We dare not leave the free SHS to be, quote, reviewed. We dare not leave our roads to go unattended again, only to become part of a Green Book propaganda. We dare not jeopardize the digitization schedule on which we have embarked. I urge you, therefore, my dear friends and colleagues, to go out with the confidence that comes from your government performing well and running the affairs. Supreme Court, presided over by the Chief Justice, by a unanimous decision of the 7-member panel, settled all the issues surrounding the voters' register and affirmed the right of the Electoral Commission to proceed with the compilation of a new register in accordance with the provisions of Constitutional Instrument CI 126. The road has now been cleared for the Electoral Commission to proceed. I am calling on every member and sympathizer of the New Patriotic Party, and indeed on all eligible Ghanaians, no matter what party they belong to, if any, to go out and register so they can exercise their civic responsibilities on 7th December 2020 to elect a government of their choice in a free, fair, peaceful, and transparent election. The pandemic notwithstanding, we have to strengthen Ghanaian democracy. The December 2020 presidential race represents probably the clearest of choices ever for the Ghanaian people to make. And why do I say so? It is because 2020 is between the current president and the president who was voted out in the last contest. It is about leadership. It is about integrity. It is about the performances of the two men when given the opportunity by the Ghanaian people to lead. It is about measuring records against promises. It is about which of the two leaders has shown in office that he knows how to manage the economy. It is about which of the two leaders you know you can depend on in times of crisis. It is about which of the two leaders you believe can put in motion the necessary measures to revive and strengthen the economy, businesses, and social services, and build our country out of the coronavirus pandemic. I am of the firm conviction that this nation, the Black Star of Africa, is on the brink of a decisive step into a brighter future, which will deliver progress and prosperity to all the peoples of our country. A united NPP, working under my leadership, in tandem with my brilliant, resourceful, four-time running mate, Vice President Alhaji Mahamadou Bawumia, who has just been resoundingly acclaimed by the National Council, the man who consistently sends alarm and shivers down the spine of our opponents, can in all humility lead Ghana and the Ghanaian people to take this giant step forward. Let us work hard together for a great victory on 7th December 2020 and embrace the future and our destiny with confidence. 4 more years for Nana and the NPP to do more for you. Kukurudu, Esi. The battle is still the Lord's. Good luck to us all, and may God bless the New Patriotic Party and our nation, Ghana, and make her great and strong. And thank you for your attention.
Raise your flags! Well, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, people of Ghana,
we're bringing you those visuals live from the Alisa Hotel, where the acclamation of President Akufo-Addo is ongoing. Welcome to Weekend 1. On election headquarters, the NPP acclaims President Akufo-Addo as presidential candidate for December's election. We're live on the grounds. Also coming up, Interior Minister dismisses claims that deployment of security officials to the Volta region is to intimidate residents ahead of Tuesday's voter registration. And justice at last for a boy who lost his fingers to physical abuse by a couple in Kumasi. Both culprits have been sentenced to 8 years in prison. We have business and sports in the package. I am Gifty and Opia. We're going live right after this. Since morning, we've been covering the acclamation of President Akufo-Addo, and he has also chosen his running mate, who happens to be Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We'll be linking with our correspondent who are on the ground. Latif Idrisu will be joining me. Kwesi Parker Wilson is also there. Will be joining me with different perspectives, and we'll be talking to analysts, political scientist, Dr. Esa Asari of the University of Ghana Department of Political Science. President Akufo-Addo has just spoken after the entire acclamation, and he's been going through some things. So essentially, he talks about his acclamation, which he says was done by social distance. He says that this has been a historic moment for him because he hasn't gone through processes without having to endure a long, bruising battle. He says the only time that he has not been contested is about now. And he does not take the trust that's been imposed in him lightly. He says he comes to this position with deep gratitude, and every inch of democratic space in this country has been fought for. He said sometimes even died for. He goes on to talk about the multiplicity of media outlets in this country, which he says did not happen by chance or was not gained by happenstance, but through a lot of work and a lot of battle. He says he's saying all of these things not to boast as a party, but to remind all of us of where we come from, and to especially remind the NPP of where they've come from. He says theirs has been they've been the only political party that has the development of the country in mind. That's according to the president. He talks about what they have done, and he goes on and on about the economy. He says that Ghana, they have been growing an economy that was depleted by the previous administration. He talks about education, and he said that education, the NPP has changed the outlook of education in Ghana. And then he talks about the free SHS and the free TVET. He said that the NPP is investing in the future of Ghana. He talks about infrastructure, and he says for the 3.5 years that his party has been in power, every constituency in this country, that's according to the president, every constituency has seen provision of basic infrastructure. He says that they owe it to Ghana to act differently or to be different. He goes on to talk about our present situation, the COVID-19 pandemic. President Akufo-Addo says it has highlighted the need for all of us, all countries in the world, to be self-reliant, which he says underscores his Ghana Beyond Aid mantra. He talks then about good leadership when it comes to dealing with all of these problems. He says it underscores the need for good leadership in the management of affairs, and then he links it to how he has had a hard-working team that has put together interventions on all of these. Like I said, we'll be going live on the ground to get a summary of the activities so far throughout the day and what has been happening so far. The president goes on to talk about the primaries, and he links it to the COVID-19. He says that unfortunately, due to the enthusiasm showed on that day, a lot of the COVID-19 protocols were broken, and that should not happen again. He talks about the winners and the losers. He says that, well, we continue to fear delegates, and then it's to remain in belief that losing is not the end of anybody's political life. He urges all the party people to stay focused and to stay united. And then he does a comparison between the NPP and the NDC. He goes on and on about what he believes the NDC does with the banking or the finance sector of this country. He talks about what they did with the economy. He talks about what they gave, which he says is doomsday, but he says they give the opposite of all of these. He says they are clueless as JHS people ends up out of education at JHS level. He says they have introduced SHS and TVET. He said they use crude language in difficult times. Well, We'll be analyzing all of these things here on Weekend One. He says they need to win decisively and to help Ghanaians up. He ends by saying that a united NPP under his leadership with a four-time who he calls brilliant vice president can lead Ghana to take that giant step ahead. My colleagues will be joining me from the ground, but let's go on Zoom. I have Dr. Kwame Esa-Asante. He's a political scientist at the University of Ghana. He's joining me. Well, we've lost him, but we'll be joining my colleagues, Parker and Latif, to bring us a wrap of what's been happening so far. This is Weekend One here on the JoyNews channel. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. This is Weekend One. Let's go live to Alisa Hotel. Latif Idriso is on the ground. Hello, Latif.
Official. The party has today, Saturday, sealed and cemented the candidature of their party going into the 2020 elections. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Nana Addo Akufo-Addo will represent the NPP in the 2020. I just want to touch. So the executives, council members, everybody, they are filing out. The program officially over. The New Patriotic Party today has a running mate and a candidate to contest the NDC come December 7. In your shots, you are looking at executive members, or the council members, I must say, who are working out. They are filing out after the exercise. And so I have the General Secretary of the governing NPP. General Secretary is here with me. I know you've heard the Vice President speak over and over. Today, one of the points he made is that the Vice President will become less important if the President is indecisive and ineffective. You think he was throwing shades to your opponent?
No, it is a truism because every Vice President works under the leadership and control and direction of the main person, who is the President. And if the main person does not show leadership, it will be like you have lions being led by a sheep. It will be better to be led by one lion than having a sheep leading a host of lions. So that's exactly the point that is made, and I think that it is apt. Maybe you may refer to our opponents as the one he is talking to. That it is a truism. The fact also is that our former president has shown that he is indecisive, he is not competent. The little things that was given to him to manage, he was unable to manage for the past 4, 6, 8 years that he was in power. So clearly, with the things that we've done within just 3.5 years, with decisive leadership from His Excellency the President, any competent running mate succeed under such president.
You had the opportunity to do the acclamation. You unveiled the tickets right here. What should we expect as a campaign strategy after today's completion of the ticket? The ticket is complete, and so what should we expect going forward?
We should expect nothing more than humility. We should expect nothing more than conviction and visionary leadership. We are in COVID period, so our campaign is going to be down to earth. Our campaign is going to be door to door. We are going to explain to the people of this country the massive confidence they will put in it and what we've done with that confidence. And you can see clearly, just 3.5 years, if we are enumerating the kind of things that we've done within just 3.5 years, you may end up thinking that we'll be in power for 20 years, 25 years, and all that. But this clearly shows you that with decisive leadership, things can be done within a very short time. It is on that basis that we are renewing our call to the people of this country to return the ticket of Nana Addo Akufo-Addo and Bawumia back to the seat of government in order to deliver more for our people.
Are you confident of victory come December 7? The president just made a call to the Ghanaian people, not only to the NPP, that everybody should go out in their numbers to register and vote on election day. Standing here right now, General, are you confident of victory come December 7, looking at what you have done as a party?
The reason why President did not restrict his call for eligible Ghanaians to only new Patriotic Party members. It is about call for leadership and choosing who to lead this country. And it is about decision-making process of our country. So we are calling on all and sundry who are qualified, eligible, to register in order to be part of the decision. We know strongly and believe that when it comes to decision-making process and who to choose to lead this country, between Nana Addo Akufo-Addo and all others, I believe that Nana is going to get back more than 55% of the vote. And I believe strongly that the next 4 years is going to be exciting. The next 4 years is going to be a wonderful period for this country. And the next 4 years is going to be a period that will unleash the potential of our country. And I believe that this is an exciting period for the country.
Thank you very much, General Secretary John Boadu. And so what has happened here today is official. President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo is the candidate. We knew this long ago, but today he's reaffirmed and putting his seal on the candidature of Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia as his running mate. So the ticket for the governing NPP has been made complete here at the Alisa Hotel at the party's council meeting. The council has supported it, and the president made a proposal. He put it before the council members. Everybody in a unanimous voice said they agree with the president's choice of going with Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Essentially, that is what has happened here. And so the ticket for the governing NPP going into election 2020 is complete. It is Vice President partnering.
We'll be getting back to Lateef Idrisu for wrap-up comments by some of the people who participated in this program. But let's go back to the Alisa Hotel, back to the grounds, and get some more reactions on the back of this acclamation. Freddie Blay is speaking to us.
The elections for 4 more years. We're convinced they performed. We're convinced that Ghanaians are satisfied with what they've done.
You think the Ghanaian people are satisfied with what you have delivered within the close to 4 years?
Absolutely. Just as the President said, we've achieved more than 78% of what we promised Ghanaians would deliver. Give us more. Even in crisis. 4 years.
The opposition scored you less than 20%.
That's the opposition. Even when we've scored 100%, they will say that we scored 10%. But Ghanaians are the final arbiters. They know what we've done. They know the kind of infrastructure we've built. They know the way we've dealt with the banking situation. They know the way we have dealt with fee paying, that we are no more paying. They know what we've done with regards to almost NHI, national insurance, everything else, that the health insurance, everything that we've done. Ghanaians are those who know what we've done wrongly or done rightly.
What you've done today as a party is to complete the candidature of your party going into 2020. Should we expect any different strategy going forward as part of your campaign?
You will soon outdoor the manifesto of the party. You will know. We continue what we've been doing, but even more. We deliver more. That's why we say 4 more years to do more. And he says that if Ghanaians had allowed President Kufuor, that immediately President had gone, that we have allowed Nana Addo Dankwa to continue, maybe we would have had a different story. Ghana would have moved forward. Ghana would have been a better place, a more prosperous, more developed. But it's not yet over. You've given us this opportunity, and we want 4 more years to complete the cycle.
What would you do differently in your next term if the Ghanaian people gave you the nod?
What will you do differently? We will do more. Not just of the same thing, but considering the circumstances of the day, looking at the new challenges. At the moment, we are challenged with COVID-19. And it's unfortunate. But even the leadership have proved very capably that others have given up, but we are still on our feet. With that, we are not down, just like other people have. It means if you give us more opportunity, we will, depending on the challenges, we will do even better.
One thing the president mentioned in his speech is that the COVID-19 pandemic has also unveiled and revealed the vulnerability in our health system, the fact that we do not have enough health infrastructure. Your opposition, the NDC, will argue that, yes, we left you projects, uncompleted projects, you failed to complete. And so
I will ignore that story, and I wish you, the media, will ignore it. There had been, from day we had independence, many governments have come and gone. Some projects we start, some projects we don't complete, some projects governments come and continue. In some cases, they were even badly cited. But that's not to say that we are not completed or we are not working on many projects that were left uncompleted. In some cases, money that had been borrowed have been exhausted and left there. However, depending on the circumstances, depending on what is available and what priorities are, this government will continue developing and continuing many projects that even some that they are let will continue.
Before you go, Chairman, how closely are you watching the NDC ahead of the announcement of their running mate to former President Mahama? Is that of interest to you as a party?
We are waiting. Just as the Vice President said, he says, no matter what or whoever you bring out, if you don't have a decisive, a competent president, you won't achieve much. We are not waiting for them. We are saying that they've already chosen their leader, and we think it's unfortunate. That itself is no match for a competent, performing President Akufo-Addo.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
Latif Idris there on the ground for us, speaking to Chairman Freddie Blay right there on the ground. This is the acclamation of the President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo as flag bearer of the NPP into the next election. Dr. Esa Asante is supposed to connect with us so we get his perspective to this as a political scientist. Dr. Esa Asante is joining me on phone. Hi, Doc. Thank you, and thank you once again for your patience. Now, you've heard what, you've seen the acclamation and how it went today and all the things that have been said by both President Akufo-Addo and his now running mate, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. What do you see from your perspective?
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity. I think I've listened to them. I've seen the acclamation. According to their constitution, it's in line with what the constitution says, so that's fine. But and then I have also listened to he also nominating Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as running mate. That's also fine. But research has shown that, yes, when we're looking for flag bearers, the things that Ghanaians look out for are the following. One, they look at, yes, the personality is important, but they look at, first and foremost, their policies and programs. They want to see the person that you are claiming today, that who is going to lead the party. If it's the person that has been in government before, what are his policies and programs? They look at that. You look at also your track record, the track record. And of course, the party you are coming for. That's the third item. Before they come and look at the person of the candidate himself, and that is the key. The other things that people also look out for when they are considering the flag bearer and as well as the running mate is that research has shown that Ghanaians look out for somebody who is God-fearing. And research has shown that 32.7% of Ghanaians believe in that. They look for somebody who is honesty, and look for somebody who is experienced. And then the fourth item is they want somebody who is very decisive. And the next one is what? They look for somebody who is humble. So we are saying that, yes, the acclamation has been done, but we want to see that, do we have all these qualities in the person of the president? And that is where the electorate will look out for in endorsing them 2020 December 7th.
And having done this, you mentioned rightly so that we're barely 6 months to the election. The NPP has shown who is on the ticket. The NDC has not done so. Do you think that based on the timing, the NPP gives the NPP any advantage, any sort of advantage over the NDC, which has yet to announce its?
Oh, there is very little advantage in the sense that now people are going to see that, yes, the president is the one who is going to run on the ticket of NPP, and he has the vice president as his running mate. That's fine. Those who don't know him are going to know him as well as his running mate. But of course, it's not that much. They want to, definitely NDC will come up as to who will also run the party in terms of the flag bearership and then the running mate. So advantage, but very, very little.
I see. The president also commented about the recent primaries, and he talks about losers and winners, using himself as a typical example. Do you feel that the message, what he said vis-a-vis the outcome of that primary, is conciliatory enough, and it will help the party's bid to reunite towards election 2020?
Yeah, on an election like that, like the primaries, losers, yes, they are, but they are bitter losers. It is the duty of the party to be able to win them back. And that is a task that they should be able to do, and do it well. If they are not, they will still have people in the party who are in pain, and they want to vent their anger on the party in various forms. You are likely to have people who are not satisfied to go independent. That is a fact.
Okay.
You are likely to also have people who are worried about the system, want to vote second blind to punish the party. And those who are extreme and they are unforgiving, they want to vote for opposition party to show the party that they also matter. These are the signs of the world. Right. It's not good news for the party that they have lost giants in parliament who are heads of committee and all that. The reason being that it sends a signal to the public that all is not well in the party. Right. And if you look at it, you realize that those who are given opportunity to vote for who should be their leaders, they voted massively. Those that they impose on them, they are not happy. Now the voting, what is suggested that you are seeing party anger. This is the first step. If you don't deal with the issue, you are going to cross over to the constituency where everybody is going to vote, and you are going to see public anger. It is about time to deal with the issue head on.
Doc, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Dr. Kwame Sasante is a political scientist. He's a senior lecturer at the Department of Political Science at the University of Ghana.